Hello, my name is Jose Sierra. I am from Rome, Georgia, and this message goes out to my ex-wife and her cousin. 3 years ago, you tried to have me arrested and put in prison for a crime I didn't commit. You went to the police and lied to them and told them that I sat there and threatened to kill you over the phone with my daughter listening. How dare you use my children as a way to sit there and gain custody of them? You lied to the courts, perjured yourself, and told the courts many lies in order to gain custody of our children. Then had me spend 7.5 months in jail for a crime I didn't commit, along with the help of the judge and the district attorney, who belligerently and abused their position of authority kept me in jail for crimes that I did not commit. The detective on the case, if you read up on my, if you Google my name, you'll see who the detective was. But the detective on that case dropped the ball horrendously. She took the testimony of a person who was possibly on meth, did not bother drug testing that person, or I should say my ex-wife, because that's who it was, did not investigate the case properly by not looking for the proper information that was needed to make the proper investigation and make the proper arrests. Then DFACS in Rome, Georgia, tried to falsify information along with the police, and did not investigate our case properly. Sorry, I had a little disruption. So, where were we? Oh, alright, so 3 years ago, my ex-wife and her cousin and a few family members plotted to have me arrested and sent to prison for 25 years so they could keep me from seeing my kids or trying to do some evil shit. But basically, I spent 7.5 months in jail for a crime I didn't commit. Then, once the case was over and done with, speaking of the case, so apparently I did find out that my case is public record, so anybody who's willing to investigate it or look into it is more than welcome to. But basically, we get to my case, which was in May 17th of 2021. It was here in Floyd County. So basically, I guess we could start with the testimony between the detective and the DFACS worker. My attorney at the time, he basically destroyed the prosecution. The prosecutor on there was she seemed a little inexperienced, and at the same time a little too overzealous on my case. She pretty much, the prosecution sat there and belligerently lied and sat there and tried to paint me into something I wasn't. They had no proof on anything that they were trying to sit there and substantiate. I have no criminal record whatsoever, to speak of, anyway. So, as I guess at this point we could talk about a little bit about the case at the beginning. They did their opening remarks, and then my lawyer we started with the detective. The detective didn't sit there and investigate the case properly. She used the testimony of my ex-wife, who was possibly on meth at the time, and then tried to use my daughter, which I'm not going to use any of their names, out of respect to their privacy. But if you read up on my name, read my name, you can probably get into a little bit. It was on Newsbreak. They even then I'm fighting them also, because I'm trying to force them to take that page down, because of the fact that some of the facts on there weren't correct. So digressing. So at this point, we're questioning the detective on the case. The detective wasn't, even though the detective was aware of two other witnesses, the detective, because of the fact that she wanted a conviction, decided not to include those two witnesses in order to make her case more convincing. Be as it may, she did so. When she was questioned, she seemed rather incompetent to answer the questions properly. When she was asked about the two witnesses, she made excuses as to why they weren't included, which I thought was a farce. And then when it was discovered that my ex-wife may have lied, the detective had no words or comment at that time. When it was asked, when it was asked to the detective if they knew if my ex-wife was under the influence, it was never answered also. So moving on to the defects worker that was also a witness on the case. When the defects worker was questioned about the situation, the defects worker did not sit there and answer the questions properly, or did not respond to the questions properly, I should say. There was a lot of there was a lot of space in between her sentences. When it was even asked about my ex-wife's cousin/lover and his background, she stated that she investigated him properly and that she found that he had no criminal record, which was a lie. Her cousin has had multiple counts of burglary, drug possession charges, family violence charges, battery charges. I mean, he even had, during the time when all this was going on, he had an open case in Cherokee County, Alabama, for beating this girl in her face when he was living in, I think, Hobie, Florida. And it apparently happened right before he met my ex-wife, or started having a sexual relationship with my ex-wife. Then, apparently, when it was asked if she's ever made any home visits to my ex-wife, she also lied there too. Because if she was aware that my ex-wife was moving around from hotel to motel, and when she was living on Hennon Drive, the police were called out there back in July of 2018, where her cousin apparently had warrants for his arrest, and she was harboring him. Which I don't understand why the Floyd County Sheriff's Department decided not to arrest my ex-wife for harboring a fugitive, which is a crime in itself. So when all this was going on and all this was explained to the DFACS worker had no words. She had nothing to say, and no responses to make, except with the exception of "I don't know," which goes to tell you how well the investigative prowess of the Department of Family and Children Services here in Rome, Georgia. That's how they operate, pretty much on assumptions and falsehoods. So basically, after destroying the prosecution's witnesses on both the Floyd County Police Department and the detective from the Floyd County Police Department, and also from the DFACS worker from the Rome office of the Department of Family and Children Services. After he destroyed their testimony, we moved on to my ex-wife. Now, at this point, the prosecution decided to sit there and take the first shot at my ex-wife. And I'll tell you, it was... if you want to rate her, I guess, her character, you could compare her to, like, say, one of those movies that went straight to video that just pretty much just stay on a shelf. Has more shelf life than any other video because her acting, because that's what it was just acting, was poor. I guess, yeah, she was just poor. She sucked. She couldn't sit there and make a convincing story whatsoever. It was like a lot of ums, I'm not sure, blah, 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 and then a lot of tears just to sit there and try to make everybody feel some kind of sympathy for her. But when this is where I'm sorry, I stammered a little bit, but this is where the prosecution sat there and lost their case. When it came time for my attorney to question my ex-wife, her attitude completely changed. Instead of crying and showing signs of fear and fear and I don't know, whatever the case is. Well, basically, she didn't show any of it. She showed nothing but animosity towards me and hatred for whatever reason. I have no clue. All I know is that she was hell-bent on trying to send me to prison for 25 years for crimes that she perjured herself and stated that I did. So when it was questioned about that, my attorney sat there, and this was the question that pretty much was on everybody's mind, which I don't understand why the prosecutor on that case didn't stop the case right then and there and realize that my ex-wife was lying and arrested her like she should have, because of the fact that she was pretty much just besmirching my name, my credibility, and trying to make me into something that I wasn't. Well, basically, the one question that my attorney asked my ex-wife was this. He said, and I quote, well, he asked, and I quote, "If you were so afraid of your ex-husband threatening you that night, why did you not report it to the police that same evening? Why did you wait till it was time for his visitation for you to sit there and file a report and have him arrested? Why did you wait till the day after, when you knew he was supposed to see his children, did you go and report that?" She had no words. She couldn't really say anything or to explain any of what he asked because of the fact that she knew she was trapped. So she started crying and started sitting there, "Oh, I was afraid. I didn't know if he was going to hurt me, this, that, and the third." Even though we were supposed to meet that day on Friday, September 27th of 2019, I was supposed to meet my ex-wife at the Floyd County Sheriff's Department at 6 p.m. to pick up my children. I was there and she was not. And there have been multiple times that during the time that throughout our divorce, she decided to sit there and get a protective order with the help of the judge, who I still think to this day was completely unjust and abused his authority in my case because of the fact that I did not have an attorney. And he did not respect my rights as a citizen of this country. He treated me as a criminal even though I had no criminal background. I had proof of that. And basically, I even tested negative for drugs when it was asked for both of us. On a side note, she did not. She tested positive for methamphetamines, and a high amount of methamphetamines, I might add, that day. And yet she still managed to gain custody, which a lot of people, including certain attorneys in the area, sat there and found out about this and questioned his thought process, I guess, to speak of, why he would sit there and put children in a home where there's a suspected child molester who molested his own stepdaughter, my ex-wife, and also knowing that she's using meth. Why would you put children in a situation like that? So a lot of people are like questioning that, and then also question his thought process on why he decided to grant her a protective order, knowing that she was lying and perjuring herself. Again, if anybody's willing to sit there and listen or would like to hear more, you can reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. So we get digressing back to the case. So my attorney asked that one question. She didn't really have a straight answer to give him. When he asked her about the abuse that she stated that was going on throughout our marriage, she couldn't give specific dates. She didn't give specific times that it happened. And, I understand that, for some people, they don't have dates. But some of the things that she said did not coincide with what she reported. So that in itself, proved that she was lying. And she did all this in order to gain custody of our children, so she can keep me from seeing my children, and I would just become a paycheck. So basically, I'm pretty much on my way to being evicted from my home, because I'm barely affording the child support payments, the high child support payments that the original judge put on me. and on top of it, my bills. So at this point, it's been over a year since I've seen my children. I've been to every court hearing for my child support, and even sat there and asked the judge to do something about it because of the fact that I don't have the means to gain any kind of legal support. And then I've emailed my ex-wife numerous times in order for her to sit there and get in touch with me so I could speak to my children. Apparently, from what I'm understanding, and these are just rumors, I can't, state that if they're true or not, but from what my understanding is, that her cousin / lover is still hitting her, is still putting his hands on her, is now putting his hands on my children, and I've reported all these to the Rome office of the Department of Family and Children's Services. I've even sat there and been in contact with the Floyd County Police Department about the situation and explained to them what's going on, and that I've been in fear, constant fear of my children's lives because of the fact that both my ex-wife and her cousin / lover are using meth around my children, and they have a firearm. I'm scared, and I've sat there and expressed this to the detective that's currently working on my case. And apparently, this was almost a month ago. I sat there and was very upset because when they arrested me, it took them 2.5 hours. When the investigation started for my ex-wife, she went there at 5 o'clock. They arrested me by... they did their little investigation for a couple hours and then got a warrant for my arrest by 9:30 Friday night, September 27th of 2019. I, on the other hand, have got a paper trail of everything that's been going on, proof that my ex-wife lied, proof that her cousin / lover is a danger to my children, proof that she made statements to the original judge that oversaw our case, where she stated that her stepfather molested her at a young age, and that I'm afraid that my children may be victims of molestation and child cruelty. And yet, a month later, I've sat there and contacted her 7 times and left 7 voicemails. I actually caught up to her 2 weeks ago on the street and asked her for an update, and she stated that she was going to start working on my case the following week, that she would have something for me by the beginning of this week. That was 2 weeks ago. It is Sunday. We're going on 3 weeks since the last time I saw the detective on my case. And yet nothing I have received no response by the detective, by my ex-wife, or anybody who I've talked to about my case. The reason why I'm making this video is because if something does happen to me, I want it to be public knowledge that I was a victim of perjury. My life has been ruined, my character defamed by my ex-wife and her cousin and a couple of her family members, namely her stepfather, her mother, and her aunt. and to let other fathers out there who are also being alienated and subject to persecution by the law under false pretenses, to let you guys know that you're not alone. I've sat there, been suffering this for 3 years now. I have not gotten any help from any entity here in Georgia, which I find completely unfair, considering the fact that many women, or women in Georgia, get more help than men, which I feel is gender discrimination. Yes, some of us men, we men are capable of doing things. We're much better than women at I guess in certain things, or whatever the case is. I don't understand. I thought that, people are equal in every respect, but apparently here in the state of Georgia, men are, especially fathers, divorced fathers, are looked as second-class citizens in the state of Georgia. I've sat there and asked for help and have gotten none. I have not, since all this has happened, I have not broken any laws. I am fully employed, and yet I have not seen or heard or even read anything from my children, my ex-wife, the detective that's supposed to be working on my case, from nobody, not even any of her family members. So, in closing, I just want for people to know what's going on. I understand that some people may frown on the fact that I'm putting my business out there, but I don't have anywhere else to turn to. I have practically no family, other than my children. So I guess the reason for this, I'm making this video, is not only as a form of record, but also to see if there's anybody out there that is willing to help me with my situation. My ex-wife is keeping me from seeing my children. In the state of Georgia, it is a crime, and it is considered parental or custodial interference. I'm sorry. It's the crime that I am trying to charge my ex-wife is custodial interference, perjury, parental alienation, contempt of court, absconding, and I'm going to also charge her cousin with custodial interference and child cruelty. I have sat there and already given them fair warning via email and let them know that once I go to the courts, I'm going to file for those charges. And I'm hoping that there will be an impartial judge that will see my case, that will read what is going on, and will actually do something to help me, pretty much, so I could be able to see my children and be a father like I'm supposed to. I'm not a paycheck. I'm a father of 4 children, 2 of which I cannot see because they're being blackmailed by their grandparents over an inheritance. Even the grandparents also gained custody of my children illegally, but because they have money, they got away with it. My children, my first 2 are already fully grown, and I'm still paying child support on them. But I'm trying to fight for the two that I have now, which are my little girl is 8, and my son, who's autistic, is 6. And should not be around a situation like that where there's abuse and meth and a firearm. And basically, I've sat there and expressed this to the detective on my case, and as you can see, nothing is being done, or if anything is being done with, I guess, lack of urgency, is what I want to say. So this message goes out to my ex-wife and her cousin. If you're listening and you're watching this, I'm coming to get my children and get them out of that situation. You have abused your position as a mother to our children by allowing a person that you're with, your cousin namely, to hurt and abuse my children physically, mentally, and emotionally, and you're just as guilty of that crime as well. You should be ashamed of yourself for what you've done. You humiliated me, embarrassed me, and then tried to put me in prison for a crime that I didn't commit, just so you can take my children away from me. I'm hoping, if there's a God out there, that there'll be some justice be given to you. And hopefully there's a judge out there that will sit there and put you and your cousin in jail for the crimes that you've committed. I want to say, I'm going to say that I forgive you, but you still have to pay for your crimes. You lied and cheated, and then you put our kids in jeopardy by smoking meth and then buying a firearm so you can try to hurt me. I remember what Bella sat there and told me the day that she told me that you bought that gun. How you sat there and told her that it was for Daddy. That's disgusting. Why would you even say that to our daughter? By sitting there telling her that you're going to take her daddy's life away. Shame on you. And to her cousin, you disgust me. After beating that girl, you come back here to your hometown and then start sleeping with your cousin who was married to me? Just because you envied what I had? And when I look at you, I mean, I've shown people your picture and told everybody about you. And they even asked, why is your ex-wife with a piece of garbage like that? Nobody understands that you left a veteran who hasn't committed a crime in this state whatsoever, hasn't done anything wrong but work and do what he has to do. He even took care of 3 children that weren't even his, because the father, one is an illegal, and 2 doesn't want to pay child support for children he made. But yet you chose your cousin, a disgusting meth addicted, possibly child molesting, possibly teen raping, battering piece of garbage over your ex-husband who loves you even to this day. I'm a little sore about the situation, yes, but I forgive you for it. I mean, I don't have a choice but to, because the fact is that what more should be done other than justice and to make things right. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want nothing to do with trying to do anything to you whatsoever. I mean, the only thing I want is to be able to see my children and love them like I'm supposed to. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're sitting there telling them, oh, your daddy doesn't love you, he doesn't want to see you, and that's not true. Babies, if Peanut and Little Man, if you're hearing me, if you can manage to sit there and see this video, I love you, and I'm fighting to try to see you. Hopefully I can even get them to let you guys live with me, so then you guys can sit there and live in a normal life, and not have to deal with the garbage that you're having to deal with now. I love you very much, and I miss you very much. I think about you guys every second of every day. Peanut, I even got you a cat, a boy cat. As a matter of fact, I got 3 cats. I got a mama, and I got two that are left, a boy and a girl. The mama's name is Gabby. The little boy's name is Job. And the big sister is Loki. I miss you guys very much. It hurts every day that you're not with me, that I don't get to see you, I don't get to talk to you. I don't know how to say this. Ro, let me talk to my kids. Let me see my children. That bastard cousin of yours is not their father. I am. I raised those kids. I protected them. I love them with every ounce of my being. You have no right whatsoever to sit there and keep me from my kids. No right. So I ask, if there's anybody out there that sees this video, if you're willing to help, look me up on Facebook. I'll be glad to fill you in. This goes to anybody that is in the legal system or law enforcement, whatever. Anybody here in Rome, Georgia, that is willing to sit there and help me with my situation pro bono, I would so much appreciate it. I don't have much. My ex-wife pretty much cleaned me out of everything. And I'm just asking, for a little help from somewhere. And also proof, I guess some kind of video proof that my situation is like many others that are out there right now, where there are fathers out there being falsely accused by their ex-wives, mother of their children, in order to gain custody. This has to stop. Families are being ruined. Children's lives are being put in danger by judges that are not taking their job serious because they're abusing their authority. There has to be some line that has to get drawn somewhere. Investigations have to be fully investigated. And if I mean, if you're going to arrest somebody or put somebody away, make sure you have all your proof. Don't go for partial stuff and then think that you can run with it, because eventually all you're doing is ruining a person's life for nothing. People have to stop doing that. They're not just hurting themselves, but they're hurting the children that are with them, that they've created. It's not fair to them. I could understand it. I know that there are some fathers out there that don't deserve to have children. And then there are fathers out there that do. There are mothers out there with the same, vice versa, that deserve it. And then there are mothers that don't. But for the ones that do deserve to be parents, take care of your children. Love them. Cherish them every minute of every day. Appreciate them. I mean, I guess it's kind of sad, because there are fathers out there that don't want nothing to do with their children. They don't want to have anything to do with anybody's child. They just want to sit there and stick and run. But then there are fathers like me, men like me, who actually want to be around their children, who love their children with every ounce of their being. And even when they're with somebody else who has children, they stay with them. I stay with them, because I love kids. I love the whole idea of having a family. I love the idea of being able to take family pictures and do family stuff, I guess. I mean, I'm not saying that I was perfect in my marriage. I wasn't, far from it. I cheated on my ex-wife twice. And I'm not saying that I'm proud of it. It's not something that I need to gloat or, I guess, I don't know. But, I mean, I made my mistakes, and I tried to make up for them by trying to reconcile with my ex-wife and try to fix our marriage, up until she decided to sit there and have a relationship with her cousin and leave me for him and a meth addiction. So, but I hope that this message goes out there. I hope that there's going to be somebody out there that can help me with my situation. I hope that this helps fathers realize that they're not, that I hope that some, this is so hard for me to say or try to say it, but I hope that this message inspires a few fathers out there who are struggling with the same harsh reality that I'm having to live. Know that they're not alone. Knowing that, they're not by themselves in the situation, that there are other people out there that are trying to do this very same thing, trying to get help, trying to voice their opinions. I mean, throughout this entire process, my voice was, I guess, was silenced by the judge, by the police, by my own family, by her family. Like, I wasn't allowed to talk about this, not one bit, not one iota, knowing that even though she was in the wrong, knowing that she committed perjury, knowing that she put me in jail on charges that were false, knowing that the judge who sat there and allowed this to happen did not take under account that the situation may have been a lie, that the situation should have been considered a civil matter, but was turned into a criminal matter because of their own personal views or personal feelings towards the situation, or myself. Especially the judge that handled my case in the beginning. He knows who he is, and he should be ashamed of himself, considering the fact that he had personal, I guess, from what I understand, a personal connection with the case, considering that there's history behind that. Well, with the whole meth thing. I don't want to sit there and talk about it anymore, but what I do know, I mean, even though it may have been a rumor, it was rumored that, certain things played key roles in my case that were not part of the case. But either way, my voice was silenced the entire time. And it was also threatened at certain points because of the fact that I tried to speak out. I guess you could say my First Amendment right was violated by the Floyd County Superior Court system. From what I understand, there's a lot of abuse that goes into the justice system here in Floyd County. I know that this video, once it's out, there may be some repercussions, reciprocity from the legal system here because of the fact that I'm voicing my opinion and my concern about my situation. And the reason why I'm doing this is also not only as a form of record and also as a form of help, but also to, I guess, let people know what may happen to me once this video is out. I take no pride in this. I don't want to do this, but I have been left with no other recourse. I have sat there and asked, one last thing. So, going back to the whole court hearing. So once they, my ex-wife, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I guess, sidetrack the whole thing. But once my ex-wife was finished being questioned, the jury didn't even believe her. The jury looked at her and questioned everything that she said because of the fact that everything that she said that was coming out of her mouth was a lie. She was incoherent, incomprehensive. She made no kind of sense in any of her responses as far as to validate any of her accusations. Then they questioned my little girl, my little peanut. And they questioned two of my closest friends. And then it was down to me. Now, my attorney sat there and said I didn't have to testify. But I looked at it this way. I wasn't guilty, and I wasn't going to be silenced anymore. So when it came time for me to be questioned, my ex-wife stated earlier in her testimony that I threw her out and that I told her to leave. I just want to say, for the record, And I want everybody to know this, including my ex-wife. And she knows that I'm not lying about this. The day she left on April 1st, when she told me that she wanted a divorce and that she wanted to leave, I asked her why. She didn't give me any reason. She just was crying, was upset, but at the same time very angry and hostile. So I asked her numerous times why did she want a divorce? Why she wanted to leave when everything was just fine? Why any of this was going on? My ex-wife didn't have any answers whatsoever. I asked her even if she was having an affair with somebody, if that's the reason why she was trying to leave. She swore to me that that wasn't the case. But come to find out, her cousin was was living at her stepfather's house where my other children were. She was secretly going to see her cousin at her stepfather's while I stayed home sometimes to take care of our children. Yeah, it's funny. So, going back, so when it was just before she left, I got on my knees and my hands and knees on the floor in my house, begging her as I grabbed the bottoms of her pants, the feet, begging her to stay, bawling my eyes out, me telling her that I loved her, or that I love her, me telling her that I care, that I want us to be together, that I want us to sit there and stay together, to be a family, to stay. I never asked her to leave. So, at one point, I thought that I got through to her because she looked like she was about to stay. And then she gets a phone call. It lasted about maybe 30 seconds. I guess whoever she was talking to or was talking to her. After that, her face changed. She wiped away her tears and proceeded to walk out and try to take my son out of our home. I stopped her from taking our son, and then I went to a friend's with my son to cool off. Spent the night with him. Not with him, but spent the night at his house with his family. And the next day I get a call. My ex-wife apparently filed a protective order and stripped me from my son. And even at when we went to the hearing for the protective order, the judge asked her and this is how vindictive she really was. The judge even asked her, do you think that it would be okay or do you think something about if it'd be all right if the father sees the children? Being that she had no proof of any kind of violence whatsoever, she was like, no, I don't want him seeing the children. And then the judge turned around and sat there, which I don't understand his way of thinking and why he did that, but basically he sat there and said it would be detrimental to the child's mental welfare for her to keep me from seeing our children. And the same for the father, is how he put it. But yet, here we are again. I'm being denied my rights, and she knows it. Everybody knows it. but no one's doing shit about it. So, I'm just being honest about the situation. I want to see my children. I love my children. I miss my children very much. It's right before the holidays. I've been begging my ex-wife via email. I even sat there and called her text now number to try, hopefully with the hope that she may answer it. But to no avail, she still refuses to respond to anything that I've sent her when concerning our children. So at this point, this week coming up, I will be filing charges against my ex-wife. I will let everybody know via Facebook an update as to how it went. I hope and pray that I will have some kind of justice in all this, that the judicial system here will make up for its wrongdoing and miscarriage of justice in my case. And I hope to be able to have my children, or at least be able to see my children by Christmas. So I hope that this video helps somebody. I hope this video informs or lets people know exactly what's going on in this state. That even though all these people are sitting there saying, oh, you know, there's equal justice for all, there isn't. Especially not in this state. So I would hope that in the coming weeks, the situation will prove itself wrong, and that there will be some justice in this situation, and that I will be vindicated for the crimes and the defamation that was caused to me by my ex-wife, her cousin, her stepfather, her mother, and her aunt, who all plotted to try to put me in prison by scheming and planning my arrest and my, I guess, current demise. So, P.S. Peanut and Little Man, if you're hearing this, I love you. I miss you. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry that you're having to go through this. I'm trying everything I can to try to get you home. So please, hold on just for a little longer, and I promise you'll be coming home soon. I love you. I miss you, and I'll see you soon. Rosemary and cousin, I promise you, the next time we see each other, you'll be in handcuffs.